dirty. And not in a fun, let's go clubbing way. Okay, gotta focus. That magic rock is around here somewhere. And I just figured out where.
If it isn't the spectacular spider smut.
Oh, dude, pants! No one wants to see your junk.
Keep laughing, punk. See what I found? What do you think happens if I use it?
Interest rates go down?
Yes. It's like my powers are totally unleashed. Now I can absorb all this energy. Energy without limit!
And yet, still no pants.
So, you might be wondering why I'm... pretty much, what's going to be happening is I'm going to, in fact, be, editing this video and putting in my thoughts on over the next two Spider-Man films. Because 2 weeks ago, I actually, didn't really watch it. I also might add Carnage too. Before Carnage, and I'll probably talk about Carnage during that episode, but anyway, pretty much just this. So I'll probably come back a little bit later, because I'll probably have a lot to say about it. So I don't know. I don't really even know what's going to happen, so... And pretty much, this level... Actually, I don't really... I think I just kind of kept dying on that, tunnel part. This level's very repetitive. Anyway, I'll probably come back near the boss fight. That's probably when I'll come back. Then I'll just try tomorrow to edit this together, because later tonight I'm probably going to be watching either the Firefly movie or... Serenity, I mean, but... Or the next two films. If not, you'll be seeing this on Monday. Anyway, that's just what I want to tell you. I'll see you during the boss fight. And you probably will miss some of the jokes I just make to myself. For that, I am sorry. Sorry.
I've never seen anyone start a truck before.
Laugh it up, loser.
So.
New versions of you?
Yeah, thanks.
You look like you could use some friends.
Shut. Okay, ignore that.
I'm moving at the speed of light.
Ignoring that entirely.
Hey, you got a license for that?
Okay. So, Spider-Man 2. I did not grow up with this movie. I grew up with Spider-Man 3 and 1. I don't know why I didn't, but, I think I had both movies. I think I had all of them. Or maybe I got that DVD set later on, but anyway, I had all of them. It was just, I didn't really watch it that much. Either because I didn't really like it, or thought that Peter was getting way too much crap beaten into him. Because, well, basically, the subtitle for this movie for any Spider-Man fan is probably Parker Luck at its worst. And if you don't know what Parker Luck is, it's pretty much where Peter Parker, when Spider-Man gets up, Peter Parker's life just goes downhill. That's pretty much what it is. Spider-Man's doing good. Peter either lost a new job, lost a relationship or something, or lost his child, I guess. I don't know. Really depends. Or a friend. That could have been it too. But really, it's just his life sucking.
More people to save. All on a
as
heroic
pretty
day's
much Act 1 till Dr. Octavius, you know, gets his arms. Because it pretty much shows Peter's status quo for like 2 years. Where he hasn't really talked to any of his friends.
Minions, I think they call them in the
He's pretty much sucking at all his classes. And keeps losing part-time jobs.
Man, that was close. How many of these
He
things
hasn't paid the
are
rent in 2 months.
Man, that was close.
Now watch this movie twice.
Thanks. I got this. Glad Aunt May pays the electric bill.
One 2 weeks ago. Like, the reason why I didn't make a video about it was mainly because of one problem. The fact that I did it really close to the end of the day. And it was on Sunday, so I had to go to school the next day. So, yeah. The next weekend, I got Batman Begins. A new version of it. You'll see what that means for, like, probably in November after Cyberpunk finishes up. But yeah, pretty much, you'll see. But pretty much, Peter's life just sucks. MJ has a new guy. Harry doesn't really even trust him anymore. Aunt May is losing the house. He sucks at all of his jobs. He hasn't paid rent, like, classes, all that. Then Act 2 happens, and then after Doc Ock's introduction, then there's the gala. Wait. No, I think that's the bank that happens next. And then that happens. Spider-Man gets his butt kicked. Mainly because I glossed over the fact that he's actually losing his powers. Like, a lot. But I'll go over that when I talk about Peter. But, anyway. Then his powers. Then the gala happens, and it's pretty much all of his issues coming to his forefront, and it finally reaches his breaking point when he actually learns that MJ's engaged, and he's like broken. He's like those exes that can't get over his other exes that he never dated. But anyway, then he fully loses his powers. Then he gives up on being Spider-Man. Cue the iconic shot, and then funny montage.
We're really sparking off each other.
Anyway, then Doc Ock pretty much tries to finish up his, like, science project. And all that. And then the rest of the movie happens. Then the train scene happens, and then he also regains his powers. MJ's still in love with him. And then the end of the movie happens where MJ gives up on the other guy. And finally gets in a relationship with Peter. And she also knows he's Spider-Man.
Hey, I'll keep dishing it out.
Look, this movie's been out, like, even before I was born, so you can just go watch it.
If they did, they were wrong.
But, anyway. I think that was the reason why I never really watched it as a kid, or maybe, like, someone had it. I don't really know.
Become electrified, move out of the way.
But anyway, pretty much all that happened. What I think about the movie is, like, the first half, Peter's life is just flat out crap. Like, in the comics, he has, like, relatable problems. Dang. This is just, I don't know, like, beating the man to the ground. And, like, Peter's psychology in the film is, like, mainly, this is probably the last time in the Sam Raimi films they actually has the choice to either be Spider-Man or be Peter Parker. There was that in the end, like, a little bit in the first film, and none of it in the third film. He's, like, the most conflict he's had with himself.
Hey, Zappy guys.
But,
Gonna win your lunch now.
yeah. Peter, I never really got Tobey Maguire as a good Spider-Man jokester, because, sure, during the final fights, he doesn't really have to joke, but when he's actually, like, stopping criminals, then he has the right to joke, which he doesn't. Doesn't mean there's not funny scenes in the movie, it's just not quips. Yeah. But anyway, Doc Ock in the movie is probably the least comic accurate Doc Ock,
Let's get some more faces in here.
which is fine. I mean, he looks like Doc Ock, so it's perfectly serviceable. Isn't like Guardians of the Galaxy where they don't look or even really act like the characters from the comic before the movie came out?
Let's make this a party.
But, I mean, that interpretation's still good, so this is still good. So yeah. That's pretty much all I have to say about Doc Ock. He's pretty good. And I didn't have and by the way, I didn't have that reaction to him being in the No Way Home trailer, like everyone else did, where they went like went crazy. I didn't have that reaction. My reaction was, yeah, I guess that was happening. But yeah. Anyway,
Charge out of this, aren't you? Hey, you don't need to get so short.
Peter.
Yeah, not really. I'm sort of what you call an overachiever.
That's pretty much all I have to talk about. How many minutes so fast? Huh. 8.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit more.
Extra large.
I think watching it twice actually helped me out a little bit. Because there's like this one part at the end of the movie where he said that Spider-Man will always have enemies, but when I first watched it, I was like, what enemy? Like, there's no mob bosses in the city that I'm aware of, because... I mean... Yeah. But then you actually start to think about it, I was like, oh, he means supervillains. Because, like... Because, like, what I meant by, like, mob bosses were, like, people like Hammerhead, Kingpin, Tombstone, like any of those people. But, like, because the only real villains or enemies he has are, like, random thugs. And that's pretty much it.
Freak. Oh man, I knew this would happen. Suit. I gotta get it off me before I...
And the action in the film is actually pretty good. Like, I don't have... Well, I mean, I don't really have a connection to the movie that much. So I don't really... sorry to interrupt you, but praise it as much as like. Really, if you're wondering, if you're like expecting me to go on about like, oh, it's such a masterpiece. It's like, oh, it's so perfect. I'm just gonna be. I'm gonna disappoint you and say, it's fine. It's not my favorite Spider-Man movie, but it's the same way. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't really watch it. It's probably because of that. Because I usually just like things from when I was a kid. Because nowadays, I don't know why. It's just kind of
Dude, you don't have
empty.
hair. Not that it would stop me
Going
anyway.
back to certain things. Unless there's things I really liked as a kid. Like, probably I could laugh still at Iron Man 2008. I could still laugh at the Avengers.
Try to stay
The
current.
majority of, like, Marvel movies that I like.
Stop. Just stop.
Like Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy. That one. But
Here I go.
this, it didn't really affect me. That's, I don't know why. Well, I'm really scraping down bomb the barrel of crap just to talk about. I mean, during my second watch, I literally just kept watching YouTube to skip the first act, mainly because it's kind of my least favorite. Listen, maybe I'll have more to say about, like, Spider-Man 3.
Hey, I'll keep dishing it out if you keep taking
I don't know. Anyway, Bye. Wait, no, not bye. Like, see ya
I wasted my time
in the
with you.
Spider-Man 3 segment. Bye. Hey.
Becoming more than powerful.
So probably like a few hours ago I finished watching
And you're still
Spider-Man
not wearing
3,
any pants, so 2 steps forward.
doing something.
Electro is even more
So,
powerful. Strike when his energy field
I
is down.
think this is my favorite Sam Raimi Spider-Man film. If I said that like before The Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, then it probably would have gone haywire.
Got a lethal
Or
throw.
nowadays, I don't know.
I thought
But
heroes were supposed
this
to
isn't really a
fight
bad
and
film.
cut and run.
Venom isn't bad. Sandman. Well, anyone hates Sandman.
His field is down.
Um, Harry isn't even that bad.
I call this one Cavalcade of Fruit.
And the rest of the film is really good.
I just need a second.
I think this is probably the best action in the films.
Do not let Electro regenerate
Mainly because
himself above the
I
generator.
remember a whole heck of a lot more of this action than I ever did. Well, minus the bridge and
Can't see straight.
Here it comes.
festival. That's really all
Grab you kids. I've got
the
enough candy for everyone.
fight scenes I remember from those two films. MJ's character arc is a bit more in the film.
Losing energy.
The pacing for each villain is pretty much just stopped to focus on a new one, or to focus on the main character. Like Sandman
Sizzle.
going into mud, and then focusing on Peter being an asshole, and him taking down Eddie Brock to set up his character arc,
Losing energy.
Harry losing his memories to set up that, like, to basically hold him off until he finally remembered after kissing Mary Jane and all that. It's kind of weird how much
Lights out. Gotta charge up. This'll shock you. A boom.
all of it was
Lights out.
because, like, they kind of just don't, like, all the emo Peter stuff is just kind of just cringy and funny and all that, but, like, everyone's already talked about and tried, like, to say it's not as bad as everyone remembers,
You stopped me.
but yeah,
I need
pretty
to
much
recharge.
I agree with all
You know
of
what I
that.
find helps? Rest and relaxation.
Like,
Turn the TV
when I was a
off,
kid, I
have a
didn't
little
give a
me
crap about Peter's arc, Mary Jane's arc, or even any of, like, some of the more emotional scenes. All I cared about was the action was cool, Venom was kind of cool. Well, Venom was cool when I was a kid, but then I just kind of fell
Why
out of
am I
love with
wasting
him.
my time with you?
I call this one
And
Cavalcade of Fruit.
generally out of Spider-Man for a while. I mean, Venom isn't that bad of a adaptation of Venom. Sure, Sam Raimi probably didn't really even read the story arc, but
Well, I guess we'll have
really,
to
you
do
shouldn't
this
have really
now.
expected a more comic accurate version of Venom here than in, like, his actual movie.
You could use some friends.
Mainly because that was probably made by an actual fan or just someone that glazed through the comic. Probably the latter. I don't know. I don't really know who directed Venom. But pretty much all of that coming in. Because really, the main issue is the fact that it's not really. Like, the main issue that everyone had with, like, the film was just mainly because it didn't. Because either it wasn't, well. it's kind of like the whole Iron Man 3 thing, because that movie is actually really good. But everyone just kind of looks at it as like kind of a bad movie because it didn't do, like, either because the villain sucked, but really you should have expected that. Really should have expected that. And I'm pretty sure Thor: The Dark World pretty much did, like, basically beat it into him that the villains weren't really the main focus in these movies.
You got Spider-Man!
But yeah. It's pretty much all of it. But that was even shorter. It's kind of weird. You kind of want to know why. You kind of want to know how the movie would have gone if the studio didn't, like, if he didn't feel pressured into putting Venom in the movie.
That was the best you could do?
Because then there would only be like 2 villains in the movie. Oh wait. He made Experiment too.
Spider-Man,
Forgot about that.
you must keep Electro from gaining more
Well,
access
apparently
to
that's
power
not like the only
sources.
problem with the
I already
film,
knew
it's
that.
just that everyone
Perhaps,
focuses on
but you
those.
don't know the grave consequences you're facing for failing to stop him.
But,
Worse than a little light show, huh?
Much worse.
Of course.
yeah. And this is probably Peter Parker at his most assholishness.
Just give up a lick.
And that's not really even comic accurate, but, well, Peter isn't really comic accurate in any of his live action movies. Like, any of them. Because, well, he isn't just a jokester, he isn't just a wimp, he isn't just... Because, like, Tom Maguire's Spider-Man, like, when he was fighting Sandman, he just said, "Hey, I'm the sheriff around here." That was probably the closest to his banter. When it's just like a normal day for him. If it's like in the final battle in the story arc, then he won't really joke as much.
Get me over to that terminal.
Like, if it's someone he particularly doesn't like, then he'll joke and, like, pretty much, like, when Otto took over his body and then gave back his body when the Green Goblin just went crazy and took over New York. Like, Green Goblin at first thought it was still Otto in Peter's body. Then Peter literally just told it, like, said, basically insulted him, and then Green Goblin just figured out that it was Spider-Man just from that. That was pretty much it. But yeah. That's really the biggest issue with any comic book thing that isn't from the comic. That none of the adaptations are truly comic accurate. They can be like the most comic accurate, but they aren't really gonna be like the comic fully. Like, sometimes dumb crap has to be thrown out. And, like, if you adapt story arcs, you aren't gonna fully include them because either there's other heroes in those story arcs, they just appear for like a quick scene and they're gonna have to cut that scene out, or they aren't really gonna even focus on it. Like, take Batman. A lot of his story arcs are not adapted fully. Like, take The Dark Knight Rises. It adapts Nightfall. Like, it takes inspiration from The Dark Knight Returns, Nightfall, and No Man's Land. But the thing is that No Man's Land is a very, very, very long story. Like, the entire thing was, like, all the Batman books, or all the Gotham-related books, were in this story. There's, like, a couple, like, 8 omnibuses of just these stories. So, yeah. You aren't going to make a movie out of that, unless you make an entire animated trilogy, they can do that, but not a live-action one without just taking a little bit of inspiration. And they couldn't really adapt Nightfall because, well, it's a bit more realistic, so Bane can obviously be on Venom. But, like, Bane in that movie isn't really a bad version of Bane. He's probably the most comic accurate version of Bane because of his smarts. It's kind of like the whole Joker thing. Sure, Jack Nicholson got all the things down, but Heath Ledger was a bit more accurate by being a lot more mysterious
Except I'm, like, in control.
and all that.
And not green.
Because really, it's the animated stuff for both
Nice to see you.
DC and Marvel. Like, Marvel before Disney kind of took over with the whole animation thing. But yeah, like, if you look back on, like, the Invincible Iron Man, the original Doctor Strange animated movie, like, any of the Ultimate Avengers, or even the Young Avengers movie, Planet Hulk, or even the Hulk versus duology, they're all really good films. Really good films. And, like, you'll see a whole crap ton of, like, similarities between the first Avengers movie and the Ultimate Avengers movies. And, like, a couple of them. But, I mean, this is a really good film. And don't even get me started on, like, all the DC films. Like, sure, they haven't really been as successful when they went into more of a universe, but not the original universe thing. But, like, Green Lantern First Flight, Wonder Woman, like, every single Batman film are pretty good. Like, standouts being Under the Red Hood, The Dark Knight Returns, Duology, Mask of the Phantasm. Return of the Joker. And, like, the first Damian Wayne movie.
I have become a being of pure energy. Without pants. Next, the city. All that power.
Oh, don't like the rain, huh?
It's harmless, like you.
Let me see what I can do about that. On both counts.
Take damage from you now. You must find another way to defeat me.
Let's step it up. Juice me up.
There must be a way to use his own power against him. Think.
There we go. So, what do I think about this level? That last part you saw, that was my least favorite part of the level.
Give me that power! Don't make me laugh. You're about to get nice and toasty.
You know what's funny? Right now, like, remember earlier I said that, like, I just heard thunder? Because it's raining outside. Or, yeah, thunder. Hello.
Where you gonna go now? I'm gonna crush you like a bug.
Oh yeah, the damn
You're
boss
about
fight.
to be history. I'm not taking any chances. Let's play
But
squash
I
the fun.
think if it really, but I do really like this Spider-Man in the game,
Someone's been overdoing
mainly
it.
because of the fact that it's probably the best comic, like cartoon voice for Spider-Man.
I call this one a cavalcade of cruisers. Monkey punch. You wanna play?
Time to get squished. Time to kiss the dirt. Destroy him! Destroy him!
Thanks for playing.
Come on.
Get ready for the breakdown! Time to talk to the hand! No, no, come on! Come on! No way! Not...
And you're out of here.
The water! It's taking me apart!
You seem shocked.
Jeez, Spider-Man, I think you just murdered
That's why
Electro.
you never make toast in the bathtub.
Congratulations, Spider-Man. You really showed him what's what.
Wah wah.
That was terrible. Yeah. So, I don't really know what I'm gonna be doing or how this is gonna work. So, I guess I'll just, when you see the video, if it's fucking horrible, like seriously horrible editing, I'm sorry. I haven't really done this kind of thing before.
Mysterio was dangerous
Oh.
enough before, when he was a simple charlatan. Imagine what he might become, with even more magical might at his command. Even I can't begin to fathom it, mighty Marvelites, and that's saying something.
Yes, run! Run from your master, the almighty Mysterio! Oh, please!
And for my next trick, I make 2 policemen disappear.
Huh? More pieces of the tablet. That means more power. More. I must have them.
Holy.
Yeah, you said it.
So, that happened. Maybe I should make like a big rank video of my favorite levels. Oh yeah. Now this is when things get good. Particularly for the rest of them. Amazing is probably the most boring one. Okay, bye.